Hello and thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and go over a few of the most common questions that we get asked in the Discord channel to hopefully help all the newcomers that are out here looking for answers. These will cover the basics, so if you already have a good grasp of the game, this might not be the video for you, but here goes. Maybe you'll learn something. Does treasure chest gold benefit from monster gold? Treasure chest gold does not benefit from monster gold. How much gold does a treasure chest provide? A treasure chest's base amount is 5 times the monster gold. How much does a gold pile provide? A gold pile is 10 times the amount of gold. And there are actually multiple tiers of gold piles, so you can get some that are slightly more or slightly less. Do bubbles count as clickables? Bubbles are also clickable. Ascension. This is the first reset button that you're going to get. This is going to appear grayed out when you first start the game, and as long as you do not have any starfires, this will remain grayed out. What this does is it resets your character, but not completely. You do retain all of the bonuses that you have gained, but you lose any node which says flammable on the node itself. These will be most of your skills, although some are automatically allocated when you first ascend. And this is also these blue nodes with the crossing swords. So if you have a very specific build that only works with extremely specific scenarios, it's going to be painful every time you ascend. You can look at the wizard's synergy problems with that. When do you ascend? Nobody knows. So whenever it feels right. This has no definitive answer because everybody is different. Maybe your build depends on certain big nodes for it to function, and without those you're kind of screwed. Well, in that case, maybe you want to push yourself a bit further. One thing I can say with a bit more certainty is that you don't want to go multiple systems without ascending until the very end, unless maybe I could argue if there are some massive perks that you can pick up, you could keep pushing. I know when I look at this tree for myself, the amount of crit chance nodes are very sparse, and they're usually congregated in very specific areas. So the value for me to continue pushing onwards is not too great. There's like a couple of good nodes, like 3 maybe, that I usually pick up in like an extra world or 2, but overall I try and do it once per system. Now what about these shards that you're collecting? How do they work? What do they do? When do you get them? How do you get them? First off, let's start with what they are. These are purchased from the shop once every 24 hours. They give you a bonus of 1.1 times more damage within the system. Do you lose them after you ascend and move to another system? No, absolutely not. Next, how often can you buy them? You can buy these once every 24 hours per system, or the first time you arrive at the system. The timer of each of these are dependent on the system you're in. If you are in system 4 for 24 hours, you will be able to buy a second one in system 4. If you go back to system 3, you won't be able to buy it for system 3 because you haven't been in system 3 for 24 hours. Do these persist through Ascension, Transcension, and when do you lose these? Currently, never. As of right now, where Transcension is the last reset that you can get, you cannot lose your Empyrean shards. They persist through Transcension, so once you restart, you'll have an easier time than the first time you went through. You'll obviously already have an easier time because your nodes will be improved with the Transcension bonuses. How do I know how much damage I'm going to gain? Well, the math on that is pretty darn simple. Each World Crumb gives you 10% more damage. So if you just move this 1 decimal point over, on my next Ascension I'm going to gain about 1,758 damage if I did it right now. Of course, I'm only on World 4, there's a lot of worlds to go, and each one is going to give me more World Crumbs. If you want to be able to play both characters, that's not a problem. When you're on one character, the other character is going to be gaining offline progression. So you lose nothing to be doing one thing while the other one is progressing offline. Wizards, synergies. How do you do the charges? This is not very apparent at all, but here goes. It is not telling you to use button 3, button 1, button 3 again. What it is actually trying to deliver to you is the fact that you need to use a lightning spell and then a fire spell followed by another lightning spell. this will give you 1 charge. If you then follow those 3 spells with another fire and then another lightning, that will give you a 2nd charge. All you need to have full 5 charges for a lightning fire synergy is 11 spell casts. Lightning spell, fire spell, lightning spell, fire spell, lightning spell, fire spell, etc., etc. Fatigue. How does it work? How do you get rid of it? Why do you need to get rid of it? Fatigue is a debuff. It increases the cost of your spells by a fixed % for each fatigue stack. It increases the base cost of the spell by 4% and another 4% for each stack. So at 25 stacks, the spells that you're casting are a full 100% more costly. Cost reduction is a subtraction of that cost. So if you have 0 fatigue and you have minus 5% cost reduction, your spells cost 5% less. If you have 25 fatigue and you have 100% cost reduction, your spells cost the base amount. So the more cost reduction you have, the more stacks of fatigue you can build up, and the less time you have to spend casting Energon to have a full uptime. As you can see, I am going up to 10 fatigue stacks and I haven't even touched my energy. Why? That is because I have a substantial amount of cost reduction at this point. How do you get rid of the fatigue? Well, that is rather simple. You use your Energon cube. Now, to get the most benefit out of your Energon cube, you're not going to want to cast it multiple times in a row. It has a 18-second duration and it stacks. So what you'll want to do is refresh the stack, add an additional stack right at the very end. So this last recording that I have right here, these big pauses, these are additional Energon casts. So I start with one right here, 17 seconds. At the end of the 17 seconds, this Energon cube has finished casting. So you can get about 14 seconds worth of spell casts before having to have your Energon cube start to cast itself. Elemental buffs. The wording on the elemental buffs is not very straightforward. Increases the chance of all burn damage from rank 1 to 3 spells to occur twice. This is not increasing the damage of your 1 to 3 spells. This is increasing the damage of every single spell that causes burn damage, and only your rank 1 to 3 spells can actually cast this buff. So this is the buff right here, Combustion. As you can see, I have a 2 minute and 40 second duration, 2 minutes and 39 seconds, sorry. Yeah, during these 2.5 minutes of this buff, any spell that causes burning, be it lightning, be it ice via synergy, be it fire itself, will have 11 additional stacks of burning from it. Same thing with lightning's flash, 1 to 3 gives you the buff and every spell benefits from it. Same with the ice as well, 1 to 3 gives you the buff and every spell after that benefits from this buff. 100% is not the max rate. Anything above 100% counts for an additional stack of that damage. You can get well over 100% crit chance and 100% chain chance. My cool criticals is giving all of my spells 300% critical hit chance. That means that every single spell is benefiting 3 times the critical damage multiplier. Is it worth getting over 600% chain when it's limited to the amount of monsters on the screen? Absolutely yes. Any additional percentage of chain above the amount of monsters that are present, chain turns into a multiplier. With my 2400% chain chance on a boss, I'm actually dealing 24 times the damage. So your clear speed becomes a damage multiplier. It's great. Subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next system.